been someone who wants to get out of the lane, try and impact sides, and it just feels like Yaharong is going, yeah, you go do that. I'm going to go farm up and scale, but Kalista, very weird, because that's not a Gala.
That is
Gala
not
doesn't know how to play
Gala.
that champion.
Gala Kalista.
No.
This is not...
Does not compute. Does not compute.
Gentlemen, are you saying that this might be a somebody didn't do their homework type of
I'm
ban?
saying, I don't know if during groups, RNG did scrim DFM, you know, because they were in different groups, right?
Right,
Group A and Group B. And then maybe Gala was playing some Kalista, had some pop-off games, and as DFM, you don't want to deal with it.
All right, well, based on our knowledge, though, you guys are telling me this ban's a little bit of a head-scratcher. It does leave the Aatrox open. With Aatrox open, that means RNG are going to lock it in.
Yeah, so gonna keep it standard, right? Going back to some of this work, Reeve did have a phenomenal game last time around, but Dagda instantly DFM going towards the Yuumi. So Flowers might want more action, but DFM wanting to stay with a bit of that slower pace, but still indexing into strong team fighting.
But I still think this works out super well, right? Because we've seen the Sivir Yuumi kind of creep back in towards the meta. It's been incredibly strong. That would be a fun one to come through, but I'd be surprised. And look, I think you're going back towards what's ease of access here, right? Steel does look good. You still got that flexibility to heavy in the top side if you want, but I think Sejuani jungle, having a bit more of an engage here for RNG can work out well.
All right, just a quick update, by the way, since we never really gave you guys the story conclusion to what happened earlier. League officials determined that RNG was unable to ban Yone in the draft, so there was some sort of an error there. And so the lobby was remade with the same picks and bans up until that third ban for RNG that looked like it was missed the first time around was just a bug. So anyway, we're running back Aatrox, we're running back Viego, and we're locking in Sylas. Triple melee for the top side of RNG.
Yeah, and I actually like the pick in the context of this draft because you already have two phenomenal ultimates. Just like that justifies the Sylas pick enough, just with the Yuumi and Sejuani ultimates available. So once again, going to be very scrappy, very brawly from RNG, but the Sivir locked in for
And it's
DFM.
basically a call out against DFM, right? It's like, do you pick Sivir or are you going to pick something like the Azir here for Yaharong?
Is so annoying, jumping in your face consistently. Pokes you down. Maybe you get a good trade back on LeBlanc once you use distortion in. Is that
isn't a combo anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know, the E on the Nami no longer procs multiple procs of the electrocute, which makes it very difficult for Lucian to actually get this trade pattern off very, very quickly, which is what was the basis of this whole combo. So Gala and Ming just kind of going back towards comfort and not wanting to go towards something like the Kaisa again when you've got so much CC in it. Okay!
Yup! It's a Tryndamere, boy!
You wanted an heavy champion. You also wanted early action. I feel like we've gotten both of those things in this draft.
What is this draft?
Lucian Nami in the bottom lane for RNG. Tryndamere in the top side for DFM. Gentlemen, what the hell's going on?
For DFM at least, we see this time around, right? The desk was saying how well DFM in Game 1 was able to find those side lane opportunities. Seems like once again they're going to be looking for that with the Tryndamere and the LeBlanc. Also, just enabling Tryndamere to run in once we do get to the team fighting phase with the fact that Sivir's there. And I feel like just solid choices to go with the Yuumi. And I mean, heck, if this game goes late enough, I feel like DFM, it's going to be so hard to take down things like the Tryndamere.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. There's not a huge amount of CC to kind of lock him up, right? You've got the wave there. Maybe you get a little bit of...
They're going to try to play around that with DFM. Do they want to focus on enabling him? Are they going to try to leave Evie on his own? This one's going to be fun.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be giving him attention up towards that top side, right? We have Sivir, Yuumi, and bots. You know they're fine to just sit and chill. You have LeBlanc in mid lane, incredibly mobile, very hard to take down. I'm going to pause because DFM, maybe they do want to give us some early action.
Okay. Ming on the Nami, you would think would be the target here. Gala's gonna walk into the brush, but he immediately sees that Tryndamere waiting on him. Also worth pointing out, because you guys mentioned the thing about Lucian and Nami's synergy with Electrocute not really working anymore, Ming is going airy on the Nami. I know Freak used to do math about this, comparing them, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't even know how to use Microsoft Excel, to just be straight with you guys. So I'm sure there is some merits to this. I do not know what they are, as Gala tries to get away from Harp and Yutapon walking into this tri-brush 1v2. He knows he can't win that.
Yeah, but he's still, I think you should still be able to get a decent amount of trades off, right? Like, even if you can't get the full damage, you're still going to have a good amount of poke. It's up against the Sivir, who's very short range, so you'll be looking to get these very aggressive trades, and Gala and Ming will definitely need some help to try and control that mid lane as well, or sorry, the bot lane, because if you don't have that help to go aggressive, if you end up with a split map and Steel is able to help out Yutapon and Harp, this Lucian Nami is very quickly going to start to fall off in comparison to the Sivir.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, is that Lucian Nami, back before the nerfs came through, it didn't feel like they were a combination that really needed to like pub stomp in lane. Like their power spike was very much at one item when Gale Force and Imperial Mandate came online. But I definitely think into DFM's draft, we need to see a lot of work done from RNG in the bot side. But it could be rough because we can already see push is going to come in from the Sivir. Yaharong should also have prio in mid lane for the first few levels. And with Steel pathing down here, it really doesn't just seem like those opportunities are there.
Okay, and I like the fact that you mentioned Yaharong, because immediately I'm noticing a difference in approach to the game compared to what Xiaohu was doing. Teleport instead of the Ignite, not just going for the straight up kill threat, wanting to have the extra mobility around the map. And of course, part of that could be the fact that, hey, your top laner doesn't have teleport either, and it feels kind of bad to have no TPs in a game of modern League of Legends. But still, it does mean he's going to have less of that 100-0 power compared to what we saw from Xiaohu in the previous game.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the super interesting one as this game goes on, right? Because you do have the opportunities, RNG, to match a lot of the side lane pressure, just try and wave clear, and it means that you're probably going to see Evie trying to group and play for those team fights a hell of a lot more, especially with the Ignite, especially with the Ghost. He has that chase down potential for people like Gala, but you always have to be careful as well, because anything that Tryndamere does, Sylas can also do, so yeah. I think it's going to be like, hey, it's Xiaohu versus Evie trying to see if you can get access to that back line, just not die, and take some of these AD carries with you.
And of course, just prefacing this for anybody who does not know about Tryndamere versus Sylas matchup, or a Tryndamere mirror if you play blind picks with your friends. Whoever ults first loses.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much the one rule. If you press R before the other guy presses R and don't manage to run away, you lose.
I wonder if there's a situation where we've ever had both kill each other trying to out Giga Chat the other one and neither end up using it.
Maybe it could. Maybe it could.
That's the excuse that I have for not hitting the button.
Yeah, of course. Exhaust traded for Cleanse here in the bottom lane as Harp slaps that one onto Gala, who's immediately ready to knock it right back off. But Gala, half health, low mana, Wei coming around from behind, might have an angle here. Doesn't want to set off the Scryer's Bloom, doesn't want to let him know he's there. He'll see the Scuttle Crab vision, waiting to walk into the river here, but now he's going to make his way down. We know he's not seen. Gala and Ming are under pressure, but it was all a bait all along. Yutapon just going to get ran through with that sword, and it's first blood to the man with the guns. Make it 2 as Wei picks up another, and it's RNG getting the money.
And this is exactly what we talked about for RNG. They needed to put their eggs in the bot lane basket, and immediately they get 2 off rip. Great stuff to enable Gala and Ming to take over this bot lane.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get the wave in as well. Should get a nice reset for themselves. And we see Steel is able to take away some camps on the top side. Might even have an angle for a gank. Will be spotted out, but has already pushed up pretty far.
All right, Breathe. Let's see what you can do. Can he get himself out of this one? Infernal Chains are going to pull Evie back. Breathe tries to walk away, flashes out of the Arctic Assault, but gets tagged by the second hit of the Flail. Still just trying to walk this one back towards mid lane. Goes over the wall here with the Umbral Dash. Ready to still try to keep fighting and kiting away from these guys. Q3 hits. Breathe is not going anywhere. DFM gets one back the top side.
And sadly, RNG not in a position to be able to answer anywhere else. DFM did have to commit a lot of time to be able to make this play happen, but still, Wave State's not really in a position where like, hey, we're losing anything bot or need to answer back quickly in mid. So overall, just a nice response to come out from DFM. And it feels like both teams this time around kind of fine with their top sides being a little bit slower. RNG, like you've already said, Dagda, a lot more about that bot side, but DFM, I mean, they're just playing to scale up.
Yeah, I mean, but the big one is that Evie did get that kill, right? He's going to be able to get a good amount of CS, get towards that level 6, and then it becomes super dangerous for Breathe as well. Like, yes, you've got a lot of healing, but if Evie's just able to tank up the turret for the entire time, you've got good CC with Steel, they can tear through Breathe if he starts to fall further and further behind.
Tryndamere is one of those champions where, you know, we've said side, like, playing 1-3-1 or hard playing sides ever since like Dragon Soul's been the thing is dead. Tryndamere is one of the champions who actually can still dive you and actually get pressure on a turret. So very good for him, especially he already hits level 6, so it makes sense it steals up here.
Oh man, this is where you can just get scuba levels with your dives, boys. It's so difficult to deal with Tryndamere in these situations, especially just as a level 5 Aatrox. Breathe is still hanging around. The turret aggro comes out. It's initially onto Steel. That was a bit of a screw up there from DFM. Now Evie's underneath the turret, but Waves already showed up. This was a massive mistake from Detonation. Focus me, and focus they will. RNG get 2 more.
And you can understand the idea. They have the stacking wave, they have the ultimate for Evie, but the fact that Wei was able to make his way up there and honestly get the possession right in time to like jump in between Breathe and Evie, everything just going the way of RNG.
And you can see Yaharong's trying to see if he can make the play happen then on bot side because they know that Wei is top, but not able to get into the bottom side of the map. And I mean, Wei read this perfectly. Like, he's immediately moving up towards this top side. He's ready for that dive in case it comes in, knows it's a big wave, and just a great read from RNG, knowing exactly what DFM were going to go.
Also Breathe, I mean, hitting both sweet spots of the first 2 Qs, right? Getting the knockups, able to get the chains down as well, so he was able to buy so much time.
And I gotta fault DFM too. Why is Sejuani slapping the dude first? Sejuani doesn't have the I don't die button. It just seemed like it was a little rushed, it wasn't fully thought out, and it costs them a lot. RNG up 1,500 gold, not even 8 minutes into the game. Their best early game so far here in the series.
And this is what a lot of people were expecting coming into this series, right? RNG being able to match DFM on the map, get control through lanes, have some good ganks coming through from Wei, and Yutapon. Harp will hop out just to steal a bit of that damage, but that's a lot of hurt onto the bottom lane of DFM.
And I mean, they have Prio and bot. You can already see Wei starting up the Herald topside because Breed's pushing that wave in. Xiaohu now at the level 7 mark is in a very good position to get things going. So, I mean, power spikes abound, especially with that serrated Dirk on Lucian, but DFM want to punish it.
Yeah, can they get him? Gala's gonna get hit there. It's so easy for Gala to tank those when he has the cleanse because he can immediately just get himself away to safety. Camera snaps back to mid, and Yaharong has to snap all the way out of that fight, using the flash to escape from Xiaohu there, who is just smacking him around in that 1v1 all-in. Evie versus Breathe. Here in the top side, Breathe can land the Q3, but Evie will heal the whole thing off. These guys are pretty evenly matched, but Evie knows he can zone him away here in the neutral ground. DFM are onto the Drake on the other end of the map.
Just waiting for Yutapon to be able to crash that wave on bot side, and then the Sivir will be able to join. So trading objectives on opposite sides of the map, you have to see how RNG are going to be able to kind of make this Rift Herald worth their money. You're already seeing a lot of pressure down onto this bottom side. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and continue that and just all in on Gala, because he gets big enough, but then it becomes very difficult for Evie to continue this presence on top side because, well, the rest of RNG are just winning in the format.
I definitely think that's the play as well, kind of looking at how the other matchups have shaped out. It's going to be very hard to get anything done on top side with that Herald. Mid as well, you really don't need to drop it. Like, they do have a Sivir on the opposing side, so the wave clear will be there later on, which could be annoying, but I think getting Gala ahead is paramount for RNG.
Well, Breathe is just going to continue holding the L here in top lane, dealing with Tryndamere in the 1v1 early. You can see he's down a pretty significant amount of CS. He will be able to clean up a bit of that here underneath the turret, but unfortunately the HP on the creeps meant that he wasn't able to get all of it. So still a bit more than a 2-wave lead for Evie in terms of that farm count. but if we're looking elsewhere on the map, jungle is pretty close, but it is full kill participation, and 2 of those kills for Wei's Viego. He's already got Blade of the Ruined King completed. Sejuani's got boots and a red rock. Boys, that is not a jungle comparison that you want to be on the Sejuani Indo.
No, Wei can go take that fight any day of the week now. And I mean, heck, we've already seen him playing around some of the pressure Xiaohu's put up in mid lane to aggressively go towards Steel's jungle. We haven't seen the fight just yet, but I'm sure Wei gonna be looking for it now.
Yeah, but that's the big thing that I'm curious about, because I thought the RNG were going to try and make a play off of this bot lane wave, like try and crash it, but Wei actually went to the top side, so they don't have the numbers here to try and make anything happen. It looks like they're trying to draw Steel in, so they're going to make the play mid.
Oh, Yaharong getting away there. Xiaohu had the stolen Sejuani ulti to fire at him, and it ends up being enough. They get the kill. Now bottom side, Steel's going to try to use his Sejuani ulti, throws it out. Ming tanks it, trying to save Gala. No! And the Boomerang Blade does not land. Nicely done, but the fights aren't done across the map. Breathe tries to get away. Evie needs one more hit to cut him down, and he gets it. Evie lands the solo kill.
You know, after how bad that felt in the bot lane for Yutapon, we take that for Evie in topside. The sad thing for DFM is they lost out everywhere else, not able to get the play in bot side. And so we just saw Herald dropped in mid.
Yeah, this was a really good read on the map from RNG. They were like, hey, look, we more than likely are going to use the wave, but literally I was in the saying, hey, you got this big wave for Gala and Ming. Chances are this is going to be the play on bot side. So RNG kind of take that that point you were talking about earlier, Flowers, of thinking 3-4 steps ahead. They go, chances are Steel is going to match this play on bot side. So instead, let's make a play in mid, catch them with their pants down. They get the kill, they get the tower, and suddenly Xiaohu has access to that Crown of the Shattered Queen, which will make it very easy against Yaharong in this match.
Yeah, and we're going to see here. I mean, it's so easy, right? The fact that Xiaohu has the ultimate allows the lockdown to come through, comboed perfectly with the CC setup from Wei, and then Xiaohu just able to finish off the kills. So, I mean, that's what we said in draft, right? Xiaohu, Sylas is good, let alone the ultimates right now, it feels like, but especially when you're showing Yuumi Sejuani on 1-2, Xiaohu was having a field day.
Xiaohu is having a good time, my friends, and Wei is doing the same. I like the fact that you bring up Crown of the Shattered Queen, because RNG knows that against LeBlanc and Sivir and Tryndamere, you're going to need some extra defense here in this game, and you can see the same thing in Wei's build. Remember the previous game, it was Blade of the Ruined King and Divine Sunderer, just pure bruiser. This time around, he's building the Bomby Cinder, going for a little bit more tank flavoring on the Viego.
I will say, though, it does lower the CC opportunities that RNG have, right? And when we were talking earlier on about Evie potentially having a run of the muck in the back of the team fights, not having access to the Everfrost just means there's one less tool for that. So it will kind of give Evie a slight edge, just the fact that he has gone for this, because I don't feel like Evie's looking for it.
Gala again with a cleanse, getting away from these Sejuani ults. I like how aggressive RNG are willing to play when Gala has this. He's not afraid to just tank it. He knows how easy it is to get away from that. Xiaohu will now continue clearing out some of the vision. RNG just fishing for plays, seeing if there's anything they can find. Testing DFM. Nothing really to fight over right now other than just those kills, but there will be a Drake in about 45 seconds. Gala goes in for a culling. Yutapon and Harp getting away from that one, each losing a decent chunk of HP, but nobody critically low.
I actually like what we saw on the mini-map, because if you see, Evie actually moved over towards mid, and heck, now going to be able to potentially take away this blue buff. But for DFM, when you start falling behind like this, you need to look for these plays where it's like, hey, obviously Breathe wasn't showing it topside, but maybe I need to drop a wave here, or like give Breathe the chance to show up and push first, because you need to overwhelm them somewhere else that they don't expect. So look for the opportunity mid. Sadly, Xiaohu didn't overstep, so DFM weren't able to find it, but DFM, knowing they're starting to fall in a bit of a hole, are starting to use the tools they have to try to get back in.
And the biggest problem for them is that now they kind of have to try and give over things like Inferno Dragon that's about to spawn here over to RNG. You have the Rift Tower that's not going to be up at the same time, so RNG should be able to get that and still be able to move up towards the Rift Towers, especially with the Gale Force completed now coming through for Gala. He's in such a good spot for some of these team fights.
Yeah. This power spike, Cap, this is exactly what we wanted to see. I mean, if anyone walks a bit too far forward, just Gale Force into culling is enough to 100-0 people. Sadly, though, doesn't exactly have that culling yet. It'll be back soon. It'll
be back in plenty of time, you would have to expect. Once more, it is Wei on the Dragon all alone. He doesn't need help to take that one down. DFM trying to go elsewhere, like you guys were talking about, trying to make something happen on the top half of the map. Going for the second Herald of the game. They're down 2,500 gold. They gotta find something to stop this bleeding a little bit, make sure you're not falling behind. The Gale Force on Lucian is not the only thing being completed. The Imperial Mandate on the Nami also online. She doesn't even have any shoes. Wei goes bottom looking for Yaharong, who snaps back to his first position, tries to trade with the Viego, but it's just not gonna be enough. And now, with the turret plating gone, Xiaohu's just clearing out the rest of these minions. They're not gonna take the tier 1 turret just yet. Next wave collides, and that one is just money in Xiaohu's pocket.
RNG just cross-mapping well, understood that, look, if you're putting all your resource into getting the Rift Herald, well, we can push mid, we can then let Xiaohu take this bot wave as well. Yaharong will just show up as the last few minions die, but it's just RNG again, kind of what we saw in game number 2, once we got to the mid-game, playing the map well, continually getting more and more control on the map.
And I feel like if you were DFM, right, we looked at their comp, we talked about playing around sides, but the fact that one, Xiaohu has found a lead over his counterpart, and I feel like two, the bigger one, is Wei being so far accelerated, means that you always have this kind of two-man squad playing around sides, not giving DFM those openings.
The only one I'm worried about is Evi. I mean, Gale Force, Zeal completed, like, he is a big old boy, and he will happily tear apart anyone who steps into his lane. And I think that's why we're kind of seeing DFM at the moment leaning towards this top side, trying to get the vision control they need so Evi can play aggressive so we can look for that top lane turret.
I feel like Gale Force is the I have to win this game by outplaying my opponent's item for Tryndamere, whereas Kraken Slayer is just that everything's going fine. All I have to do is stat check whatever they put in my way and cut through him and I'll be fine. So I've got eyes on Evi all day. This is the dude who's found solo kills. This is the guy who's been in control of his lane. This is the one point of power that DFM really has. And I feel like without playing around him, there's not much of a win condition here in this game for him, unless maybe for some reason RNG just forgets to press the gas pedal down and you get to 6-item Sivir.
Yeah, there's definitely still possibility for RNG to throw this as this game does go on, and I like that DFM now have been posturing aggressively around the map. Seems like they're trying to find an opportunity to use this Rift Herald. Wei, though, going to be doing some hunting of his own.
All right, they're after the Nami because they know that Lucian can get away from it with Cleanse. Ming stays alive, and now with the wave going forward, the revenge is swift, and they punish Steel. Evi's forced in the ulti, and these are not the plays they needed from that Tryndamere. Breathe takes out Yutapon, and Yaharong will stumble away with his pet cat, the only one left alive, surviving the slaughter.
It took a game and a half, but RNG have woken up in this series, and they have chosen violence. RNG now going to start moving through the mid lane and get another structure for themselves.
And not only get this mid, right, this is also relieving pressure off of Brave, who's finally like, cool, Tryndamere's out of my lane, I can farm minions and push in a turret of my own, and the gold lead now swinging upwards, 5k plus for RNG.
It was just a great fight from RNG. Ming doesn't get bursted out at the start of this and then lands a miracle bubble as well onto Evi to prevent Evi from actually being able to do much damage to Gala. So from that point forward, RNG were just able to close that one out. Again, side lane's now fully in control for RNG.
And I like the fact that DFM went for something, right? Like, they see the opportunity here to maybe catch that support. They know they're falling behind, but as soon as you weren't able to finish them off, everything just went to hell.
Yeah, I mean, the TP comes in from Breathe. Nice tidal wave from Ming to lock a lot of the members of DFM down. They didn't account for Wei already being here. And I love that RNG kind of just forced them apart, right? You have Xiaohu and Breathe just running down Yutapon, and it leaves Tryndamere just fending for himself between numerous members.
And you saw Yutapon try to do that cheeky thing where you look like you flash over the wall, but you flash back into the pixel brush. But they're just standing in the brush waiting on him like, wait, what are you doing here? And they just beat him to death. 0 damage in the fight from Yaharong, as, you know, it was just over before it started, honestly, with them not being able to grab the kill onto that Nami. And yes, DFM will finally get their first turret of the game, just about 19 minutes in here, taking out that tier 1 top that Evi had put so much work into. But it's still 4,500 gold is the lead for RNG. So, gentlemen, I gotta ask you, what on earth do you do if you're DFM?
It has to be picks. You have to try and find some way for Yaharong and Steel to work together to find some of these picks, even bringing Harp into the equation where maybe he's connecting with Yaharong. If you can try and disrupt the tempo and the map control RNG have, then you can buy space for Evi to actually put threat onto these towers. But right now, with Dragon up, it just looks so difficult to do so.
It's kind of funny because with them needing to find picks and maybe overcommit members to sides, it's actually a decent thing that they don't have those turrets mid, because now, like, if DFM want to go for a play, right, Yaharong has TP, so you can commit him to the same side that Evi's on, maybe bring the Yuumi there as well, as Breathe, actually, gonna walk into numerous members of DFM, but it's plays like this to where Yutapon, you can sit very safely back next to your inhibitor, really no ability for RNG to punish you. The problem is you need more than a flash.
Oh boy, Evie, now he's got to get away too. All right, both top laners wandering into jungles and then immediately trying to wander back out as Evie tries to defend this tier 2 turret. RNG is applying pressure very heavily. Evie is low, but not forced to ult. Xiaohu can just jump right back in there, make sure they destroy that turret. Yaharong's looking to see if there's anything to grab, but he's stunned. The bubble flies out and only gets the clone. RNG's War Machine is not slowing down.
But this is the trade-off when you try and make that pick in the top side, right? Now you don't have the members bot lane. RNG are able to get onto the tower, and now DFM overcommits the bot side, which means that Breathe can get the top turrets.
Yeah, and that's just one of the things, right? Since RNG are so far ahead, they have so many more options available to them. Any play DFM makes, they will be at a disadvantage, and heck, maybe now TPing Yaharong in.
They're going for Breathe, but Breathe recognizes the safest place to go is actually towards his teammates. Xiaohu in trouble. Xiaohu destroyed. Big pick there for DFM. If they can get something else off the back of it and turn it into more. Yuumi slow comes out. Yaharong and the rest of DFM continuing their chase. Yaharong has to leave. Breathes ready to turn it around now too. Gala following right behind him, ready to go. Dashes in with a Gale Force, putting damage into the health bar of the enemy AD carry. Evie has the Yuumi ready to go. Breathe tries to get out. Evie popping the ulti, staying alive, but he's got to get back away now. Wei still looking for the chance to go in and finish somebody off. Charges up the Spectral Maw, but won't go any further. DFM, they got the one kill, but RNG won't give them anything else.
No, RNG kited it out beautifully, and once again, another example of Gala beautifully face tanking the Sejuani ultimate because he has the cleanse available. Dagda was pointing out to me that Sejuani ultimate came up in the perfect time for the turn, but sadly for DFM, no, only one kill.
I mean, look, they get the pick onto Breathe, which is nice, right? Like, the TP comes through, they commit a lot to make sure they can get this, but this is what we're talking about, them trying to find these angles of attack to pick off low-health members of RNG. Now, it will be Xiaohu who ends up overextending at the end of it, and this is where, like, I was looking to see, hey, where is the ultimate for Steel? It's just waiting to come off cooldown, and DFM, they do overextend, but they're trying to kite back, wait for that ultimate from Steel, and maybe then with Evie's ultimate up as well, they can turn on towards Gala, but Gala face tanks the ultimate, has the cleanse available, saves Breathe in doing so, and then it's easy for RNG to turn it around.
That is 3 or 4 times now this game that Gala has been so aware of the Sejuani ultimate and aware of the fact that even though he's the role who's traditionally not supposed to get targeted, the best thing he can do is just eat that big ol' ice cube with his face, cleanse it off, and make sure everybody's out alive. I'm really liking the way they're handling these Sejuani ultis as a team.
It's just great to see, especially because Gala, back in the LPL, was having a bit of a slower season than he typically was. Not really the huge standout for RNG. It was Xiaohu primarily throughout the regular season carrying them to victory. And now, once again, kind of slowly easing into that international form that we always see him.
But that's the thing, right? He was more comfortable on picks like the Lucian rather than the Sivirs and the Zeres and those kind of things, right? So definitely kind of going back towards comfort as Ming is gone.
Well, that was definitely not comfortable for the support of RNG. Finally, that is the first death of the game for this Nami. Ming has been doing a wonderful job keeping himself alive so far, but Yaharong finally gets in there. He finally finds the moment for the pop. But the unfortunate thing is, DFM doesn't have a whole lot else they're able to grab from that. They may be able to force down this tier 1 mid lane turret, but Gala and Breathe still clear the way.
I feel like we're getting to that point where the LeBlanc plus Yuumi annoyance is going to be there, where again, you can just distortion over the wall, you have extra CC coming out from the Yuumi, and then even if someone trades back because it's LeBlanc, you have to like commit yourself into a play, well, the Yuumi's just going to heal you. So everything is just fine for Yaharong, and I love the aggressive opportunities that they're looking for.
All right, RNG, let's see how they're going to pilot this from here, because there is 50 seconds on the Drake. Baron is alive here on the map. You can see the Scryer Trinket, excuse me, dropped into the pit by the side of DFM just to make sure RNG wasn't up to anything. Looks like we're not going to get anybody trying to sneak any Barons anytime soon, but it is 2 Drakes for RNG. If they get this next one, they will be on soul point. Gala and Ming will shove up the mid lane. Gala's going to take the opportunity to reset here. It is very likely that he is able to buy himself something pretty nice. We'll keep an eye on the inventory as he gets back to the base. And yes, indeed, Infinity Edge complete for the Lucian.
And this is where it becomes incredibly difficult for DFM, right? Not only do you have Gala firing all cylinders now, but also the fact you haven't been able to push your waves already up past River because you didn't know where RNG are. We're now only getting to broach that here for DFM, which means they don't get to set up for the Dragon. They have to give it up entirely because they know, hey, we can't really poke with Yaharong and Harp and see if we can get that pick onto Gala. We have to completely back away, which means another free Dragon for RNG. And DFM need to figure out what they need to make that price be for RNG.
I feel like the good thing for DFM though, right, is that they have that scaling timer for the Sivir, for the Tryndamere. You can see Yutapon super close to that Infinity Edge to come out, and the analyst test was saying, hey, like even if it is some other members being the playmakers, he is the one who has to be the big carry for the side of DFM.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have this 5 minutes.
Oh, Gala getting hit with the Sejuani ulti, but again, the cleanse, it's always ready to go. Breathe now coming in from the side. Yutapon, Evie separated from the rest of the team, but now Breathe is under fire. Evie forced to ult, stuck in CC for an incredibly long time. He's still trying to get away, but Wei is on the hunt and on a killing spree. Steel now has to try to hobble out. RNG still looking for a little bit more. Xiaohu goes in with E2, but a nice spell shield is going to stop him in his tracks. RNG have killed the enemy top laner, and they'll try to find some more.
Now we can see them playing right now in Fog of War. They might be able to get on top of Steel as the wraparound comes through.
They're coming around the long, long way. Xiaohu goes in, and Steel is about to go down. Yutapon will drop first, and the Yuumi ulti won't save anyone. RNG get what they were looking for, and Baron will be the reward.
I love that they commit for the extra picks because one can't turn into a Baron. They go for it, and now they can start. I mean, they already have an 8K gold lead, Dagda, but why not make it more?
Well, we got a TP, so they might make it less here for DFM. They want to try and get in, but Yaharong, what can you do?
Yaharong going in there. They know that Xiaohu was low. He was hoping maybe he'd jump in, pop Xiaohu, jump right back out. But Yaharong's teleport will not earn anything. It's RNG, nearly 10,000 gold ahead, wearing purple.
And this is where you kind of question how much is this Red Bull Baron power play actually going to net, because there's not a huge amount of space left for DFM. Gala tanks up this ultimate at the start once more, causes DFM to overextend, and Breathe with a decent flank here as well. Just again able to separate out the members of DFM, consistently just kind of finding the ebb and flow in this fight as DFM try to aggress back forward. And eventually Wei finds one reset, and that's kind of where it all bursts open.
And this is where I was surprised that RNG were able to find more, because they sort of disengaged at first, but they commit to the wraparound, and DFM, knowing they need to try to play for picks, waited in the Raptor pit, which opened them up for the collapse from RNG to finish these kills off.
And that's what's kind of surprised the DFM trying to commit for that. They actually had a blue ward on Baron, so they knew RNG hadn't turned back towards the Baron area, but got a bit greedy, and RNG were able to punish. Now separating out into their lanes. Push already was there in the mid lane, so RNG now going to move up to top side and get the last remaining outer turrets.
Alrighty guys, it is do or die for DFM as they try to dig in their heels and hold on against this Baron push. Yutapon at least having the Infinity Edge up on the Sivir. This is kind of that floor for where you say, all right, Sivir's online. But man, it is a rough time to finally get there. You don't want to be staring down 2 barrels like this, but it's RNG, locked and loaded, ready to go. They'll take down the tier 2 turret here in the top lane, and now all that's left is the DFM base.
And this is where we can see the annoyance for DFM not having that TP on Evie, because Xiaohu can be down here, match these waves, and TP up if anything happens. Evie feeling like, hey, I need to be with my team right now because they are going for this push, and can't put that split push pressure that he would so want to use.
Exactly. It's a double-sided sword, right? When you take the combat summoner spell, if you get ahead, if you're playing the game you want to play, you're a nightmare to deal with. 1v1, nobody can mess with you. 2v1, they got to think twice. But if you're behind, man, your ability to hold on and be able to get that footing on the map becomes much more difficult.
And now you've only got a minute and a half until the Dragon as well, so you really need to get that footing on the map so you can try and contest this, but it just doesn't seem possible right now. You've got a ton of vision being established by RNG. It's already just been cleared out by DFM, but being re-established on the bottom side, and now they got the pick.
Oh, Steel will try to get away from Gala here. Nami Wave fires off, but the Sejuani is already gone. Having Harp attached can give him that extra bit of movement speed there with the heal to make sure he gets out of the way. But the map is owned by RNG. Everything is dark and full of terrors for the side of DFM.
Gala did have to use his cleanse in that last one, though, when they're looking for the pick on Steel. So maybe that is now the angle of attack that you can look at for DFM. If Yaharong can get over a wall with Harp in tow, maybe they can find that moment onto Gala, but it's slim pickings with how difficult it is to get to the Dragon.
And I think slim pickings is a good descriptor for the current state of the game in its entirety. If you are DFM, we're at the point in the game where you're having to make nothing but tough decision after tough decision. Every play is a low percentage chance. You're that far behind, but they've got to try to find the winningest move and execute on it perfectly.
And I at least like that they've been looking for opportunities, knowing how dire it looks right now. But RNG overall, I think, coming in with the right plan to draft more to get ahead in the early game, because we saw if DFM can get through early game, be ahead or even neutral, like, they know how to play out in the mid game. They are solid team fighters. So RNG indexing into getting such a huge lead has done them wonders. As Dragon up now, DFM, it's gonna be your time to shine.
Alrighty, there it goes. Xiaohu getting away from the Sejuani ulti there. I do believe that was a Mikhail's Crucible. Yes, it was. Ming is now ready to go. He's saying it doesn't matter if Gala has cleanse or not. We're past that point in the game. Even the supports got money, and everybody on RNG now has the Cloud Soul ready to go. The extra move speed to chase down anybody on DFM who might get caught out only makes each individual movement, each possible mistake, that much more dire.
It really does. And RNG now, since their comp is so low range and brawly, I feel like you'd have to start trying to play 4 top and mid, set up to find picks in enemy jungle. If you get one, then you could probably just break down either top or mid inhib, like trying to get that. If not, Yutapon just going to be enough to have the wave clear. So in my mind, Baron really needs to be in the cards for RNG.
I mean, they're already set up for it, right? You get the vision, they already started away trying to play through the invisibility, but might find Steel, they'll just back away. They're waiting for the waves to be in a better spot. You can see where Xiaohu is escorting top wave. Then they might be able to find a bit more with these picks, but at the moment, it's just about trying to see if you can get into having some semblance of control.
Alrighty, DFM, how are you gonna go about this? 60 seconds till the Baron, trying to sit down some vision, trying to use these sweepers and reclaim any little bit of the jungle that they can. It's 4 sweepers on both sides as the war for vision rages on. Xiaohu just keeping that spot near the enemy red buff. Breathe down here defending the tier 1 turret against Evie, who's still just trying to find something there in the side lane. Gala goes in for Yutapon. He will not find the kill, but he really makes him sweat. Gets both summoner spells out of the DFM AD carry as Evie versus Breathe is not going Evie's way here at the start. Breathe just gets the ulti out of the Tryndamere, goes for the flash Q, won't find it.
That is an anger. That is someone who has to lane against Tryndamere all game long, trying to see if he can get the kill back, but doesn't find it.
He might find it. He might find it.
Oh boy. Oh, he sees it. He sees him in the brush with the sweeper. Evie is still able to get away thanks to the spinning slash, but the rest of RNG is ready and waiting. Sejuani is not a tank at this point in the game.
Like you said, Flowers, everything on DFM's minimap is dark and terrifying, so thinking RNG can just outright go and serve that Baron, they have to face check, and it gives RNG the opportunity to find a pick. And look where they're going now. Exactly the tool they need to start breaking down structures with the amount of weight they're coming out for DFM.
DFM will send Yaharong with Harp attached to him close by. Maybe go for a Miracle Steel burst over the wall or something. There it is, jumps in. It's still at 4K. There's not a whole lot happening from that one, but Xiaohu might make something else happen here. Nope, just scares him off, backs away. RNG, they got Baron again.
Reset's going to come through. You've already got Breathe making sure that waves are fully in their favor, pushing these in. This is where we expect to see RNG try and close this one out. And even if they don't, I mean, 3 minutes until the Outer Dragon as well. DFM haven't got to see outside of their own base in the last 5 minutes, so it still feels like RNG just get to dictate how this pace.
Again, it's just crazy to think where we went from game 1 to like DFM comfortably winning game 2, great DFM early game into a bit of a throw, and RNG finding those picks where now it's been RNG dominance. It reminds me of an interview I saw Wade did the other day where they said, hey, so how are you guys dealing with all the expectations at Worlds? Like RNG, you guys never really handle that well. Wade's like, what expectations? We're 4th seed. We're 4th seed.
We're just having a good time.
Exactly, we're just here.
We're in play-ins, man.
So you can see RNG, I guess there really is nothing to tilt from when you are coming in with that as your mindset, which is a pretty good mindset to have coming into any international. So kudos to them, because now, I mean, with a 13K gold lead, with Soul, with Baron, right? This is just about how RNG ends the game rather than when.
It's Hakuna Matata for RNG, and they are feasting on DFM here in this 3rd game of the series. Breed is going to draw the attention of 2 up here on the top side. I think he may have drawn a little bit too much attention as he tries to retreat back to his team. They won't be able to kill him, but he ended up doing his job as the mid lane loses the inhibitor. Yutapon goes into the stasis trying to survive. They're still ready to kill him. It's 1 down, it's 2 down. How many more are they going to get? Heavy's in the ulti and he tries to spin away, but it won't happen. Yaharong, he dies too. A triple kill over to Xiaohu, and RNG will take this game.
RNG delivering on the expectations. Such a dominant game 3 coming out from them. And DFM have to go back to the drawing board and again try to find that winning formula they had in game 1.
Full house to round it out with the triple and the double kill. It felt like a full house for RNG, and just how they were able to execute on their game plan. Great in the early stages, great in mid-game, and just made it incredibly difficult for DFM to really just get anything in that game.
DFM, their backs are now against the wall. They came out, they shocked everybody in game number 1. They were able to go blow for blow with RNG, but as RNG have sped up the game, like what you were talking about, Lyric, saying, yeah, they're just picking these champions that can scrap early, get those early leads. If DFM can show you that, hey, we'll keep up with you in the late game, just don't let them get there.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great strategy coming out from RNG, which again is kind of funny going to this on the international stage in play-ins where it can work because it's not something we saw in the LPL. But I like the style of champions they've adjusted to, things like the LeBlanc, the Sylas, things that they weren't playing in the LPL, but they're making work wonderfully here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just getting agency for Xiaohu, right? When he's actually able to have control over that mid lane, you can see the difference. They're happy to lean in towards a lot of these early skirmishes, look towards things like the Dragon and those fights. And from that point forward, it just feels like now we're getting RNG stepping up, even with things like the Lucian Nami that we weren't honestly expecting to see in Worlds.
I also want to give the special shout out to Wei, because Wei really did just pop off that game. Let's remember he was, already had the Blade of the Rune King so early on in the game, it was just taking over.
Well, RNG are at match point, and it's up to DFM to try to figure out